and welcome back to another episode of Your Wealth Health. I'm Eric Brenner, and I have Bill Davis with me again, and we're continuing the discussion on college savings and 529 plans. So one of the things that we were talking about, Bill, is this expected family contribution is really kind of a big thing, right?
Yeah,
so
I thought we should revisit that from our last show.
Yeah.
We got a lot of questions.
Yeah. So why don't we take a look at the screen again at the slide, and let's just kind of go over some of those highlights again.
Yeah, what was a little confusing to people was what was included and what was excluded. So, most people's assets are in their retirement plans, IRAs, 401ks, pension plans. Those are not included on the expected family contribution. Their small business that they own, not included. A really important point that I know we wanted to hit on was life insurance cash value. So life insurance cash value is not an includable asset on the expected family contribution. So once you understand what's not included in your private primary residence, then you're down to, do you have an asset that's in the child's name or do you have an asset that's in the parent's name? And that's really important because the amount that's included, if it's in the child's name, is approximately 50%, and the amount that's included in the parent's name is approximately 3.5%. So I know you thought about life insurance differently since we did the last show. And what was your thoughts about that?
Well, I just was, one of the things that I wanted to make sure for our audience is, we talked about 529's, educational savings accounts, the UBMA accounts, and there's certainly just traditional investing. And sometimes, unfortunately, folks are advised or led to maybe using a life insurance policy to fund for education. So I think there's certainly it's life insurance, cash value grows, but there's also some downside to it.
That's correct. Yeah, so properly structured, it can be a tool because you can exclude it from your FAFSA calculation and use it for college expenditures, but you do need to really be certain that you've had it properly structured and properly funded. It's common that people will have it properly structured, the type of product where you can surrender basis and maybe switch to loans, but it is tricky business, and I hate to have people put their life insurance coverage in jeopardy.
And if you have cash value in a life insurance policy, you really have to determine, does the insurance company charge you to take a loan out?
Correct.
Because it is a loan.
It needs to be a net zero loan, and not all companies provide net zero loans.
So we recommend that you really make sure that's right for you before actually making that as a investment tool for your college savings.
Right.
So, well, there's a lot said on, when do I apply, and what schools do I apply to? Certainly out there's a lot of hype around it's really hard to get in and so forth into a school. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about that. So if we look at the screen, let's talk about, first off, what we say is relax, right? Really, a majority of the schools will accept somebody. In fact, we've seen some recent data.
75% of applicants are accepted nationwide.
On their first school.
First school choice.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times they talk about certainly the Ivy Leagues and so forth. And what the stat that we saw was approximately 2.1 to 2.2 million new freshmen going in and applying for schools. And somewhere like a Yale, there's 36,000 that apply.
Sure.
So they focus in on that versus the whole nation.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's important as it relates to that. So we're just saying relax, you'll get in. The next thing is early decision. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, a lot of colleges are doing early decision making. And so that can shorten up the time frame of the college funding planning, because what I didn't mention about the FAFSA and the expected family contribution is that colleges give an offer letter, and so the sooner you get the offer letter, the sooner you're going to know what your out-of-pocket costs are and how much you're going to need to withdraw from your investments that you've made.
Yeah, and so and the money does sometimes. The sooner you're in, you might stand a chance of getting some more money, right?
Correct.
So that's a big thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of grants, there's a lot of opportunities, and You know, once those people get those offer letters, we like to have our grandparents come to us with their grandchild and show us what kinds of offers the school are making.
Yeah.
You know, because there's different offers and there's different grants and there's different loans that we like to help them decide what's best for them.
What's best for them.
Yeah.
Yep. And on the screen then, next is really find colleges that, fit academically, personally, and so forth. And I know we talked about a great resource that we utilize a lot, right? Collegedata.com. And I think there's, 19 different, if you go in and actually you can look at the colleges you're interested in, there's 19 different factors that you can kind of look at and see if there's a fit for the child.
We just think it's a great starting point. You know, students, we don't believe that a student that's going into freshman year totally understands what their career path's going to be.
Yeah.
And I think answering the questions at collegedata.com will help them maybe narrow down to some school choices.
Yeah, so that's great. And then the last thing is you want to choose a good mix of schools, right? So you do want to mix it up.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's going to it might give you 12 different school options. You need to be thinking about geography, travel, understanding that the further away from home is not always the best.
Right.
For our freshman students.
Yeah. And I know that's been made a lot easier over the last few years. I know in my case with my kids, it's been a lot easier because they have the Common App. So people can apply to multiple schools. And we're not saying don't apply to multiple schools, but really have a variety, right? And so I think that's really important.
And then there's going to be a financial offer from each school that you get accepted to. So there could be some decision making that would go into it once you've received your offer, your financial aid offer.
Yep.
Yep.
That's a great point. And we always say that the best way to pay for college is other people's money. The school, scholarships, all of those things that are opportunities there.
That's right.
And there's a lot of scholarships within your community. They can look at different academic scholarships and so forth to apply for.
Yeah, and the one thing that I want to make sure people are looking at on that offer letter is the Stafford loans. So, there are Stafford loans that are free interest for 4 years. So don't overlook those are loans in the student's name. And a lot of people don't want to have loans in the student's name. And I say don't overlook that, because the subsidized Stafford loan that could be up to $3,500 first year, as high as $4,500 junior, senior year, would be free interest for 4 years. Yeah. So why would you overlook free money for 4 years?
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Well, thanks, Bill. Thanks for joining me. And I think we've really covered a lot of great information over the last few weeks.
We have.
And so as we talked about last time, we've got this book that's on our website that I'm going to encourage you to log on to Your Wealth Health. And you know what? Maybe it's for you. Maybe you get it and you pass it on to somebody that you know. But I'm going to encourage you to go and log on and get your free copy. We certainly at Hilltop Wealth Solutions work with individuals on saving strategies, retirement strategies, tax planning strategies, Social Security strategies, estate planning strategies, and more. And we give really guidance and insight to help them make the best financial decisions. So if you are not a client and you want to get a second opinion, we certainly would love to do so, and you can go to hilltopwealthsolutions.com and schedule your free 30-minute introductory call. Our show that will air in March, we will focus in March on retirement planning. And we'll focus specifically on the Secure Act. The Secure Act is the biggest piece of retirement legislation to pass in more than a decade. It will affect every one of you in some aspect or another. And so we're going to dive into depth, really, with a special guest expert and talk about the Secure Act and how it may affect you going forward in planning for your retirement. I've got a quote here that I wanted to share about education. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of a true education, and that was Dr. Martin Luther King. For Bill Davis, I'm Eric Brenner. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.